Hello to all, I am Srinivas Yadav. I will give you a brief demonstration on BPM. So what exactly is BPM? So BPM stands for Business Process Management. So what exactly is the main usage of BPM? The main usage of BPM is for developing workflows. And what exactly workflow by definition? So workflow basically specifies the procedural steps or the steps that will be performed by the people in the organization. Okay, the workflow means the steps that will be performed by the people in the organization. So the workflow basically you will have like this. So this is what you call basically it's a workflow, or generally this is also referred as modeling. So let's say for example the enterprise is handling the claims. So where the customers will be requesting for vehicle claim, and the request will be received, and once the request is received, so that will be reviewed by one enterprise user or one employee in the organization. So based on his review status, the control goes to adjuster and the examiner. And once the data is collected from the adjuster and examiner, so based on that information, either you will send for further analysis. Either you send for further analysis or you will reject the claim. Okay, or reject the claim. So this is how you will have the workflow. So the traditional BPM softwares, they essentially deals with this kind of workflows. Okay, they essentially deals with this kind of workflow where most of the time users will be interacting. Okay, most of the time users will be interacting. But over the years, the organizations or the enterprises, they also need to have a proper communication with the enterprise systems. Okay, they also need to have proper communication with the enterprise systems. So for example, so as part of workflow, you want to communicate with some business rule server. Okay, you want to communicate with some business rule server, or you want to communicate with some complex event processing server. Or you want to communicate with some mainframes. Or you want to communicate with some social networking. Systems. So these traditional BPM softwares, they were not meant for having interaction with the external systems. Okay, they're not meant for having interaction with the external systems. So they can have interaction with the external system, but the scope was kind of limited. It was, but right now, these BPM systems, the BPM systems must communicate with the business rules, the complex event processing server, or mainframes, or social networking systems. So the traditional BPM softwares, they can't work in these kinds of environment where you need to have business rules, complex event processing, the mainframes integration, the social networking, so and so. So they have a severe drawback when it comes to integrating with these kinds of systems. So earlier, if there is a requirement of integrating with these kinds of system, so that used to be handled by separate integration layer. Okay, they used to handle by separate integration systems. So these integration systems, they're pretty good in communication with these kinds of systems. But the integration systems, they were not good at having workflows. Okay, they were not good at having workflows because these integration systems basically they have designed for enabling communication between system to system. They have designed enabling communication between system to system. So whereas BPM, so they primarily designed for enabling communication between user to user. okay, user to user. So that's why, so in the enterprises, they used to have the integration separately, and they used to have this user collaboration separately. And if there is a need of having communication between this, the user collaboration or the user layer with the integration layer, lot of issues is to be raised, because the BPM can't handle the traditional BPM, they can't handle these integration systems, and it used to be very difficult for having proper communication between the older BPM systems and the integration systems. And moreover, the BPM vendors, they were not good when it comes to integration, where you have to integrate with the mainframes, SAP, or some, or any packaging applications or messaging systems, so and so. And similarly, the integration vendors, they were not strong in, they were not strong for enabling user collaboration or for designing these workflows. Now that's why, so earlier this complete the business process automation used to be handled entirely differently. Okay, so the when it comes to traditional BPM vendors, so when it comes to traditional BPM vendors, so these are the quite widely used vendors. So you have Lombardi. So Lombardi is there, Pega. So Lombardi, Pega, you have Savion, Codis, so Adobe Lifecycle. So apart from this, there are so many vendors are there. So basically, these vendors are pure play BPM vendors, where they have excellent features for user collaboration, but they're not good at having integration with the enterprise systems like business rule systems or these complex processing systems or social networking systems. At the same time, you have integration vendors. The TIPCO is there. And apart from this, so there are so many vendors are there, but these are the widely used vendors. So these integration vendors earlier, they were not having proper workflow based systems, and similarly the earlier the traditional BPM vendors, so they were not having proper integration solutions. So past 4 years, okay, past 4 years, the enterprises, okay, enterprises, they don't want to they don't want to have separate BPM practices, and at the same time they don't want to have separate integration practices. And moreover, earlier there was no standards for BPM. Okay, there was no standard for BPM. So even when it comes to integration also, there was no standard for integration. So every integration vendor, they used to have their own way of implementing the integration solution, and at the same time, even the BPM vendors also, they used to have their own way of having workflow development. So later on, the standards have started coming into the integration as well as the BPM. So for the integration, so new standards have started coming up. So when it comes to integration, so there is a standard for integration, so which is SOA, which is nothing but service oriented architecture. Now the service oriented architecture, it is primarily meant for creating business services. The primarily meant for developing business services, where you will be having the system interaction you will have. At the same time, the service oriented architecture, this also supports the user collaboration. It also supports the user collaboration using the standard so people for people. But still, the complete flexibility, you are not having the user collaboration that is provided by SOA. So which means using SOA also, you can develop standards based workflows you can develop. But still they are not flexible. Okay, but still they are not flexible, because this SOA, which is nothing but service oriented architecture, it is primarily for developing business services. And moreover, in SOA, for integration, so for integration there is one standard which is called BPEL. So which is nothing but business process execution language. So this business process execution language is a standard for developing services based integration. So this BPL address only how to develop services. Okay, it address only how to develop services and how to enable communication between the systems in a reusable manner. But still it doesn't fully address. It doesn't fully address. So how to enable the complete user collaboration. Okay, how to enable complete user collaboration. So at this from the BPM end, okay, from the BPM end, so you started having another standard which is called BPMN. Another standard which is called BPMN. So BPMN stands for Business Process Management Notation. Now this is the initially the primary goal of BPMN standard. The primary goal of BPMN standard for modeling workflows. Okay, for modeling workflows. Now the workflow also will now currently the workflows also have standard which is called BPMN. Okay, so it is called BPMN. So that's why after BPM, okay, after traditional BPM, you started having a separate modeling tools you started having. So which are nothing but they're called BPA. BPA software is they're called. So which is nothing but business process analysis software. So the one of the most widely used is ARIS. So this is basically for modeling the workflows, standard based workflow modeling. But at the same time, the BPMN also doesn't address so the complete collaboration with the services. Okay, with the services. So which means this also doesn't fully address the process automation or automating business process. Okay, process automation or automating business process. So when you say process automation, what exactly it means? The process automation means so you will have the collaboration between the users and the IT systems. Okay, so you need to have collaboration between users and the IT systems. So that's basically what you call process automation. And moreover, the BPM vendors, okay, the BPM vendors, so they have their own BPM and servers they used to have. And similarly, the integration vendors, so they used to have their separate SOA servers they used to have. But currently, what exactly enterprise wants is, so they want to use the SOA along with BPM they want to use. Okay, they want to use SOA along with BPM. So which means, so they want to have in one single environment, they want to have the user collaboration. At the same time, they want to have integration services. So when you have everything in the same environment, you can design better applications. Okay, you can design better applications when you have everything in the same environment. So that's where now currently, so most of the above mentioned BPM vendors, they're acquired by some other softwares. Now this Lombardi is there. So earlier the IBM was having the FileNet. Okay, IBM was having the FileNet for workflows. For workflow, they were having the FileNet server, but it has a limitation. So as we have seen, FileNet has a limitation because it is not good for when it comes to interaction with the systems. So that's what IBM has done is that IBM has purchased Lombardi, so which is pure the BPM software, and at the same time they also have their integration software they have, which is SOA based integration software, that's called WebSphere Process Server. Now they have merged, okay, they have merged this WebSphere Process Server, so which is of SOA with their BPMN solution, so which is Lombardi. The BPM solution which is Lombardi. So now together they call this as the BPM or Business Process Manager. The Business Process Manager. Now this is the complete suite from IBM which provides the BPM solution, which provides user collaboration, and at the same time integration services also it provides, and moreover it is fully compliant with SOA standard as well as the BPMN standard. And similarly the Oracle, so Oracle initially they were having the Oracle SOA software they were having. Later on they have purchased the WebLogic, they have purchased, and from there so from after purchasing WebLogic, okay, after purchasing WebLogic, so the WebLogic was having their own the BPM software, so which was called EquaLogic. So they have integrated, so this is for BPM. So what exactly they have done is, so they have combined or totally they have remodeled the Oracle SOA, they have totally remodeled, and they have to completely remodeled this EquaLogic SOA. And then so they started, they combined these two softwares, so they named it as Oracle Fusion BPM. Okay, Oracle Fusion BPM. And similarly the TIPCO also has, so TIPCO also has the same set of TIPCO also follows the same principles, what exactly the enterprise requires currently. The currently enterprise requires the BPM should be running on the top of SOA, because there are so many advantages of SOA. So one is, the major advantage of SOA is reusability. The components or services can be reusable, and moreover the development can be component based, and every component you can define proper interfaces. So like this there are so many advantages you have in service oriented architecture. So the enterprises wants to utilize the advantages of SOA, and on the top of that, so they want to run their business process. So when they have like that, even their business process also can become reusable. So keeping in mind the TIPCO, earlier TIPCO also has their own BPM solution, so which was called Staffware. Okay, which is called Staffware earlier, and they have their own integration solution, so which is BW, that's called BusinessWorks. Okay, so this Staffware, it's kind of old software, it's kind of pretty old it is. So what exactly they have done is, so instead of combining these two softwares, instead of combining this Staffware with BusinessWorks, so they have completely redesigned a new software they have redesigned. So that's called Active-Matrix BPM. So unlike IBM, who acquired a third-party company Lombardy and merged with their web server process server, and similarly, so Oracle has purchased this WebLogic and they have merged their BPM into their SOA. The TIPCO has not done like that. So TIPCO has completely redesigned a new software they have redesigned and they have developed, so which is called the Active-Matrix BPM. This Active-Matrix BPM, so this itself is based on Active-Matrix SOA. It is itself based on the Active-Matrix SOA. Now this Active-Matrix BPM will be having the Active-Matrix SOA also. So even in TIPCO also, now you can have the fully standards based reusable business process development you can have. Now whatever these applications develop, so they're basically called as workflows. So whereas whatever these softwares provides, so those solutions are called business processes. So here you can have business process. Okay, so these three softwares will provide the business process, so which is IBM Business Process Manager, the Oracle Fusion BPM, and this TIPCO Active-Matrix BPM. So they provide the complete business process development they enable. And apart from this, you also have SAP. So SAP also has their integration solution. Okay, SAP also has their integration solution, so which is SAP PI. And later on, so they have created a new software, so which is called SAP NetWeaver. So this was meant for BPM. Now recently, I think just 1.5 years back, so what exactly they have done is they have merged these two. They have merged the SAP PA and the SAP NetWeaver BPM. So they started calling, they have rebranded their product as SAP NetWeaver Process Orchestration. So this is their BPM solution, so which follows the SOA standards. So this is the BPM solution which follows SOA standards. Now this is how the current market trend is. Now any company is looking for BPM, so they also want that the software must support the SOA based solutions is support, and moreover it should not be separate product. So it should be one single product, so where the bottom has to be SOA and on the top you will be developing the BPM based application. So when you have this kind of model, so you will be having you can develop business process. So what exactly is a business process? So business process means so a business process contains user collaboration. At the same time, it will be having the integration features also. Okay, integration features also. So which means now wherever there is a requirement of integration, okay, wherever there is a need of integration requirement, let's say as part of your flow, you want to communicate with the mainframe system. Now how to handle the mainframe system? So that is taken care in SOA. Okay, how to handle with the mainframe system? So is taken care by the SOA layer. And then so whatever solution is developed in SOA, you will specify one simple interface you specify. Okay, you're going to specify one simple interface. So which is nothing but you're going to specify the WCL file you're going to define. And this WCL file you will be using in BPM. Okay, you'll be using BPM. So BPM is not going to concern. Okay, it will not be concerned about how exactly the actual integration will be done. So because the integration part is taken care by the SOA, and the BPM will be having only WCL. So only visual file it will be having. So later on, if at all you change your implementation, you don't need to make modifications into your BPM layer. So as long as the interface is same. Okay. So integration will be handled in the SOA layer and the process automation will be done in the BPM. So at this, when you combine these two, you will have user collaboration. So at the same time, you will be having the integration features. Now, especially past 3 years, so SOA based BPM solutions requirements are becoming more and more, because now, so every company, they want to enable their BPM access. Okay, they want to enable their BPM access or the business process access through mobiles. Okay, through mobile devices they want to provide access, and through social networking also they want to provide access. Now let's say when a task is completed by one user, okay, when a task is completed by one user, or if the user requires some help, okay, if the user requires some help for completing the task, he can post the task information to the in-house social networking system. Okay, they can post that information to the in-house social networking system. So once it is posted there, the enterprise users will be having access to that particular request. So multiple users can see that information and they can provide whatever advices they can provide to the users. So like this, everywhere they want to have the business process should be exposed to different environments, to the smartphone devices, to the the mobile devices they want to provide, and to social networking they want to provide. So everywhere they want that the business process should have access to. So that's why they wanted to have the BPM software, so which provides SOA as well as BPM capabilities. So this particular software, okay, these particular softwares, so which are based on SOA, so these BPM softwares are generally called as social BPM. Okay, this is generally called as, you can call them as social BPM. So this your business process can be exposed to mobile devices or smartphones. Okay, they can be exposed to smartphones, so they can be handheld devices, and social networking. Okay, social networking. And at the same time, so this particular solution, they are also referred as services based BPM. So each and every process that you develop in BPM, so will become a reusable process. Okay, will become a reusable process. So the TIPCO Actimatrix BPM so does have all these features. So it can be a social BPM where you can integrate this AMX BPM with the TIPCO social networking solution, which is called TIPBR. Okay, you can integrate with TIPBR, and at the same time you can have the services based BPM also you can have. So in this manner, over the years the BPM requirements have been evolved. So initially you are having only the workflow centric BPM. Okay, you are having only the workflow centric BPM where you could only design the basic flows like this. Okay, where most of the time users will be collaborating. But when it comes to high level integration, so these systems they never used to have proper integration with the enterprise systems like this. So then you started having you are having integration system. They're very good in designing or enabling system to system communication, but when it comes to user collaboration, they're pretty bad. Okay, none of the solutions that are provided earlier by TIPCO or IBM or Oracle, they were never successful. So TIPCO also has earlier they were having their own BPM solution, which was called Collaborator, it was kind of failure it was. And SAP also has their own model, SAP workflow. So very few customers will be using that SAP workflow. Even Oracle also has their own model, Oracle workflow. So very few customers used to have that. So because the integration system, the primary role is enabling system to system communication. So but the enterprises currently they want to have the standards based and reusable. They also want to have social communication, and they want that the business process should be reusable, and they also want to have the end-to-end process automation they want to have. So that's why there is a need of the BPM applications which are based on SOA. Now this TIPCO Actimatrix BPM, it is fully compliant with it fully follows SOA standards, as well as so it will provide the BPM solutions. It will completely standard based in TIPCO BPM. So I will give a simple demonstration how exactly in Actimatrix BPM so you will perform or you develop you develop the business process. So I will show you one simple scenario. So if at all you want to have integration services, you will be using this SOA platform. So since we are running out of time, so I'm not going to select this particular option. So this is where you will develop your business process. So you're going to define, so basically you'll be defining which users will be part of this business process automation. So I'm going to define one unit. So let's say they have separate divisions for vehicle claims handling for online. For different channels they have different departments. So this particular business process deals with the vehicle claims, so which are coming through the channel online. So you can use the same thing for different channels. So I'm going to create it different positions. So you can see this is the flow. So based on this flow, so will have so users creation. So this will be, I can say, reviewer, and I also specify register, examiner, process. So these are the 4 users, so who will be part of this particular vehicle claims handling. So I have defined the users. So these users, so basically you'll be mapping these users to the LDAP server, so who actually represents the enterprise users. Now these users are logical users. So I'm going to define what data will be used in this process. So I'm going to just design basic information. So claim request. So contact. So this information is enough. So I will create so these are the parameters that will be using this business process. Now, so this is my process. So you can, for better understanding of your business, you can give some names for them. So I'm going to create the different panes where, so each lane represents one user. and then I will define simple. So this is where you have your integration services. So I mean like, so here you want to design your backend services. Anyways, so I'm going to define what are the parties, who are the participants in this. It's fully wizard driven. So basically the BPM, developing the BPM solutions which are based on SOA, so they're kind of complex, but when compared with other solution providers, the typical BPM development is much more easier. So too many steps will be there, but for developing any kinds of solution, the same steps you will follow. So one of the advantage of this active matrix BPM is the business process. Automatically your business process can be exposed as a service, so which means you can, so this is called, what this is basically what we call as PaaS. So process as a service. So this is one of the main requirement of enterprises who are basically into the BPM practices. So they want to have business process, at the same time they want to have the business process as a PaaS. So which means the process as a service. So when we say service, the immediately one thing comes to our mind, the advantage of a service is reusability. So when you have your process exposed as a service, you will have the advantage of reusability. But earlier workflow solutions, they were so rigid, they were never reusable, and they're never user friendly also. And the development time used to take longer, and every vendor used to have their own way of performing development. But whereas this standard based SOA BPM, so everyone will have more or less the same way of performing development. So now I have the initial setup. So now I'm going to design. So who are the users part of this? So I'm going to define the tasks. So this will be the user task. So here the claim request will be reviewed. So then it goes to the examiner. then it goes to adjuster, and then it goes to approver. So once it is approved, the control goes to the integration layer. So based on the condition, so either it goes to, so you will store the information into your ERP systems, or if something goes wrong, you will directly, so you will send a mail to the customer. So this completes the process. So I'm going to define, so what type of tasks they are. So this is the user task, and which is performed by the reviewer, and this is the examiner. So this is also a user task, so which will be done by the examiner. And this is the adjuster. Again, it's a user task. Again, a user task. So storing in ERP. So basically, you will be having the SOA development here. So it's kind of, it takes some time to do that. So instead of having that ERP integration, I will just log it. So here you will perform the SAP integration. So using AMX SOA. So as I said, it's a time, it takes some time, so I'm not going to do it. So I'm going to send an email, so I will just set it. Okay, so we'll come back to this later. I will just now. So I'm going to convert, as I said, I'm going to make this as a process. I'm going to make this as a pass. Which means it's a process as a service. The business process can be accessed as a web service. So this is only possible in the latest BPM softwares. So that is done. So what data the reviewer has to see, I'm going to pass that. So reviewer will be seeing the claim request. So I did it now. So he is going to enter some information. Or we have already defined the business object. So I'm just going to specify that. So he has to enter his comment. So I'm going to specify add data to SA. Now the examiner is going to enter his information. As well as adjuster. Now, so based on the approval outcome, the control should go either here or the control goes to here. So I'm going to make it as a default path, and I will set this as it's a conditional based. So process suggestion. Yes. So now the process is designed. So I will just let me see, do I have any? So I have few users defined, so I'm going to use them. So I'll just specify some information here. So you can, if you want to, you can take the data dynamically also. If you want to take the data dynamically, so you will go to here and you can, you can take the data using different options. So we don't require right now. Yes, I'm not going to, get any further more information. So that's it. So it is showing error. So let's try to find out what exactly is that. Okay, set from mail configuration to custom. That's fine. So I'm going to specify, let's say, So I'm going to set the values. So I have to do few. So I'm going to create this. So now I will deploy this. So it is creating an SOA archive, because ultimately the AMX BPM solutions, once again they will be converted into the SOA based application only. So it's done. So now let's test this. So first you need to specify the users. So to make it simple, I will just specify the same user. Generally, you will be specifying different users. And for processor, I will specify Tony. So the task is done. Now I'm going to start the process. So you can do the testing from here itself, or you can, since we have made this process as a service, so this can be accessed by external applications as a normal web service. So claims handling, start. So he's going to enter some values. Yes, some information. So he's going to submit his information. Now the control goes to, so if you want to see where exactly the process currently, you can view from here, the process views. So currently the process is at review. The reviewer is Clint. Now the user Clint will log into his inbox. So there he can see this information. So this is information. He's going to enter some information. So remember, I have not created the forms properly, but in real time these forms will be properly created. So you will not be having all this information. Okay. So TIBCO has internal forms which are based on Google Web Toolkit. Then the next, if you want to see the use, where exactly the status, you can check it. That is the examiner. Now the examiner in our case, again it's a Clint. So there you can see one task is there for him. So he will see this information. He will enter some information. So enter some information. Now, in our case, the next user is Tony. So this is the information. So let's say he is going to enter. So let's say he declines it. Then the control goes to this doesn't belongs to this business process, which is this belongs to some other business process. So the process is completed. So when we check the mail, so we should get one mail. So there you can see we have one mail. The claim state is sent by the user. So this is how you develop the SOA business process applications which are fully compliant with the current requirement. So which is the business process has to be based on SOA model. So whichever business process applications currently the enterprises require, they want that the business process should be fully standards based. So which means it should be the BPMN specific, and it should be based on SOA. Okay, so this is how the TIPCO Active Matrix BPM software will be used for developing the business process solutions. Thanks to all of you.